They signed up to serve and protect because they wanted to help people. But there are women in police forces across this country who say that dream was shattered when they were harassed and abused by their male colleagues. Tonight, 5 female officers, past and present, speak up to tell their stories and ask, when it is widely accepted harassment of policewomen is an ongoing problem, why is it so hard for them to get justice?
He ripped my shirt off me.
I was repeatedly ridiculed for having a miscarriage.
I refused to send him naked pictures of myself.
I was sexually assaulted in 2014.
I was subjected to systemic violence and abuse.
According to Vera McKenzie, who left policing more than 2 decades ago, nothing has changed.
It's heartbreaking that 25 years later, we're still having the same conversation.
They were all proud to wear a uniform and worked at police forces in Toronto, Sarnia, Waterloo, and West Vancouver. But when they filed complaints about sexist, harassing, and at times violent behavior, they say they were ostracized.
It is career suicide. It is.
When you stand up to a man officer, they close the ranks together.
The women say they had little or no help from their male-dominated unions.
The first person that sexually harassed me while I was still in recruit training became the union president.
What about the male officers? Do they have the union support?
Certainly. I mean, in my case, he was the president of the union.
Sexual abuse and harassment of female officers has been well documented in the RCMP and the Canadian military, which is currently embroiled in its own reckoning. Toronto police officer Heather McWilliam won a landmark human rights complaint last year. The tribunal found she endured years of sexual harassment from her male colleagues.
Vulnerable, degrading, and dehumanizing of females.
Effie Zarabi is still fighting for justice at great personal toll. She's on stress leave and has risked her financial security by filing an ongoing human rights complaint.
You brought forward a complaint, and there are 5 different law firms representing the Toronto police officers, the male officers, and they don't have to pay a dime for lawyers.
They don't pay a dime. They get full support.
What kind of legal support did you get to bring that complaint forward?
I had to sell my home. I lost my pension in 2018.
Zarabi says she owes $130,000 in legal fees and court costs. She provided City News with sexualized and racist texts she says were from male colleagues. They are too graphic for City News to air.
Why am I spending hundreds and thousands of dollars out of pocket when I have all this evidence? You know, we have videos, we have text messages.
Toronto has Canada's largest police force. In the 3 years from 2018 to 2020, there have been 12 complaints. Jamie believes the low number doesn't reflect reality.
When you see what's happening to us, why would anybody want to come forward?
We have to get out of this mindset of, oh, it's just a few bad apples. No, it's not just a few bad apples. It's culturally and structurally embedded from the actual creation and historical creation of policing.
Leslie Bikos is a former London, Ontario police officer and current PhD student who's writing her dissertation on police culture. She has spoken to 116 officers at forces across the country for her research and did an online survey with over 700 more.
Unions remain white, heteronormative, male-dominated institutions all on their own, and so not representative, and therefore not always understanding or even willing to understand what systemic sexism or racism looks like in the institution.
City News requested interviews from the head of the Toronto Police Union, Mayor John Tory, who sits on the Police Services Board, and Toronto's interim Chief of Police, James Raymer. All refused. In a statement, Raymer said since he became chief, they have been analyzing workplace culture and acknowledged, quote, there is room for improvement. It is a far cry from what policewomen like Effie say is needed.
Victims are being buried. They're being shunned. They're being tossed out of work. Mostly women are losing their careers, their livelihoods, and these guys continue to go on.
Tomorrow, I speak with a lawyer about why some of the cases don't go to criminal court, or none of them actually go to criminal court, and how the justice system works against the female officers as well.